We went for like 11, 12 days without a shower. It was almost Christmas time. People were being shipped out all over the country because they didn't, because of their involvement in the riot. And I started feeling sorry for myself. No mail going in, no mail coming out. I couldn't write my family. I couldn't tell them it was all right. This was on national broadcast. They had it nationally. Everybody was talking about it all over the place. And I remember feeling sorry for myself. Anybody ever do that? Anybody ever feel sorry for themselves? Get your hands down, amen. I was whining. I was sniveling, man. I'm on this monk saying, God, Candy's always telling me, man, that you love me and you got a plan for me, but you never one time revealed yourself to me. You never showed me that love. You never have showed me that you're there. So right now, right here in this cell, I want you, God, to show me. Show me that you're real. God, you going to show me? Nothing. And I remember telling God, that's what I thought, and I rolled over and went to sleep. In my sleep, the first thing I realized in this dream, I'm in a chair. But I'm strapped into this chair. And then the realization came to me that I'm in the electric chair. Cold, black, dark. But right when I realized that, man, I felt those straps. I had something on my head. And a light came down, way, way down this, like a cobblestone tunnel. And the light wasn't like a street light or something. It was like a glowing red ember that was way down. And then something came walking up out of it. It was Satan. And he was everything ugly in this dream that you could imagine. Everything evil that you could imagine. And right when I realized it was Satan, a fear hit me I had never known. And Satan seen that fear. He began to laugh. He had ram's horns, cat eyes, club feet, and every step he took, he grew taller and taller. And the closer he got, the more real he became. I was shaking. I was trying to get loose from these straps, and I couldn't get loose, man. And he was laughing so hard. This dream was so real. When he got right here, spit was coming out of his mouth and hit me in the face. His breath was so foul. I knew they were getting ready to pull that switch, and he was going to devour me or whatever and take me to hell. Right when he was right there in my face, man, a light just illuminated both of us. A bright, glowing light. All the darkness fled. He looked up and the fear that hit his face, I thought, man, if it's scaring him, I sure don't want to look. But I got to where I could look up, and it was Jesus Christ. He had his hands like this. And the light was just coming from him from all over. And he looked at Satan and he said, this one will belong to me. And Satan screamed and shot down that hall. And I woke up. Jimmy Maxwell's out in the middle of the cell. Tony, man! What is wrong with you? Sweat's pouring off of me, and I got the covers tore smooth up on the bed. He said, brother, that's got to be a good one. Let me hear it. I couldn't even talk. I just waved him off. That night I sat on that bed remembering Jesus and the compassion that he had in his eyes when he looked at me. I thought, man, I'll just lay down and go to sleep. There ain't happening. That devil will be back, amen. I wasn't going to sleep. The next night I was telling Jimmy about the dream. He said, that's so cool, brother. He said, I wish God would do something like that for me. I'd go to church forever. I said, like what? He said, maybe even just pick that TV up and set it down. When he said that, we heard an explosion. It sounded like they were shooting at us. We thought they were. Both of us hit the ground. I grabbed the mattress, man, and Jimmy said, brother, shooting. Look at the hole in the window. And I look over at the hole in the window. It was already there. I told him, brother, that was there. He said, Tony, look at the light. And both of us look up at the light. Looked like somebody had taken a ball-peen hammer and just perfectly hit this thing dead center of that light. But it hadn't busted and fell out. It just spider-webbed all through it, just little bitty pieces. I looked at Jimmy. I said, "You remember what you were saying?" How many of y'all ever run from God? Well, some of y'all lying. Amen. How many of you have run from God? Actually thought it was coincidence, counted it up as that, and I'm not, that ain't God. He don't love me. That's what we did. Kind of like Jonah. Jonah was, God wanted him to go to Nineveh. How many of y'all know that God has a plan and He's trying to reveal it to you before you even got saved? And He's trying to tell Jonah, I got something for you to do. I want you to go to Nineveh. I got some people that I want you to minister to. I don't like them people, and I'm not going over there and doing that, and I'll run where you can't find me. How many of y'all know God can find you? He gets out on the boat, and they find out this is a man of God, and God's mad at him. Man, let's get him out of our boat. Boy, and they chunk him. And here comes the big old fish and just swallows him up. Kind of like the Verizon wireless commercial, God's going, "Hey, Jonah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Jonah?" And I can hear Jonah, "Yeah, Lord. I hear you now." The Lord says, "Well, let's look at this situation. There's 2 exits out of this whale's belly. Which one do you want to come out of?" I don't think old Jonah wanted to be fish poop, do you? Amen. And that's kind of what God was telling me in all this steel and concrete. I was in the whale's belly. And that was the first time He spoke to me in that manner. But I'd ask Him to. I'd never really heartfelt asked God for anything in my whole life. I knew He was there. I just thought that when I was born that God left something out of me that He didn't leave out of good people. That I was just destined to be bad and go to hell. My life was going to be a torment until I went there. That I'd never have no peace. God could never forgive me. Let me tell you something, guilt can be an anvil around your neck if you let it. I was going from prison to prison to prison. My wife was following me everywhere, telling me, "Tony, please, give this lifestyle up." I had gotten so violent inside the prisons that they were afraid of me. They would not leave me on 1 yard. Today I have people come up to me and say, "Tony, I don't see that in you." And that's the greatest compliment that they can give me. Or Jesus. Because it was Him that took me out of that miry clay and set my feet on a rock. Amen. I get to a place where I'd been to McAllister twice. I get to a place over at Connors, and my wife came up one day and she said, "Tony, please, I've got bad news. The whole time we've been together, I've been a support for you. I've been somebody that you can lean on. And Tony, I need to lean on you now. My mama's got cancer. They told her she's going to die. Please stand up." I couldn't. I walked out of the visiting room, beat 2 guys up over a dope deal shortly after that, and got locked up, and Candy's mother passed away. I couldn't console her. I couldn't put my arms around her. I couldn't do nothing to help her. They sent me from there back to McAllister again, a place called H Block. It's an underground prison. The first thing that when you walk down to H Block, you can feel the hate. It's a presence. The depression, the anger, the frustration, everything. You can feel the evil down there. And I walked into a cell, and the cell that they put me in, I'd been to H Block before. My wife had to come up there and tell me that my father had died. Something that you'd think would change a man, but it didn't change me. I loved my dad.